nationalistic sentiments in EST movement in the Sudan. The Mahdi IST rebellion in the Sudan began in 1881 by Muhammad Ahmad, a Muslim holy man from Dongola who declared that he was the expected Mahdi. His followers, too, identified him as al-Mahdi. In 1881, he organized a revolt, declaring that he was the expected Islamic savior, or Mahdi, and it was from this name that the Sudanese religious revivalist and anti-colonial movement was named the Mahdi IST movement. On August 12, 1881, al-Mahdi won his first victory over the colonial forces at the Battle of Aba. Again in November 1883, the Mahdists won another victory over the 38th Textbook Anglo-Egyptian Army in Kordofan Province. Subsequently, in 1885, al-Mahdi's forces captured Khartoum and killed Charles Gordon Pasha. 5 months later, Muhammad Ahmad passed away. The Mahdists were also known as the dervishes, religious beggars, and later as the Ansars, helpers. Upon the death of the Mahdi in 1885, Khalifa Abdullah took the leadership. He set up a strong administrative system by appointing district governors responsible for collecting taxation strictly in accordance with the rules of the Quran. The British regard the successive victories of the Mahdists as a threat and wanted to avenge the death of Charles Gordon. In 1896, the Anglo-Egyptian Army, under the command of General Kitchener, advanced into the Sudan. 2 years later, in 1898, this army inflicted a final defeat upon the Mahdi IST forces at the Battle of Omdurman. Sudan was occupied by the combined forces of Britain and Egypt. Following this, the British set up what they called the Anglo-Egyptian Condominium. Lord Kitchener was appointed as the first Governor-General of the Sudan. The Maji-Maji Rebellion in East Africa, the most serious challenge for the Germans was the widespread resistance of the people of Tanganyika. This rebellion broke out in the southern part of the colony, in the hinterland of Kilwa, in July 1905. It began in the Matumbi Hills, following the imposition of heavy taxes and the use of forced labor in the cotton-growing pharma for export. The revolt spread rapidly throughout the region, with attacks on all foreigners, missionaries, administrators, and their Swahili/Arab clerks. It was a spontaneous revolt with no previous planning or central leadership. And yet, the peoples of southern Tanzania came together in a way that is unique in the history of African resistance to colonialism. Instinctively, they turned to their beliefs in the powers of the spirit world. It was a deliberate attempt to overcome the problems that had crippled earlier African resistance to European conquest, i.e., a lack of African unity and the European machine gun. They sprinkled their bodies with magic water known as maji-maji, which they believed would turn the bullets of their enemies into water. It is therefore from this term that the resistance movement got the name maji-maji. Although the revolt spread to Morogoro and the outskirts of Dar es Salaam, it had gradually lost its initial momentum. The power of maji-maji had been weakened and its political unity was gradually falling apart because of ethnic and other differences. In addition to this, by the end of 1905, the Germans had brought 39 Grade 12 reinforcements, recruited from Somaliland and New Guinea. As a result, in 1906, the Germans gradually reclaimed the central highland region under their control. They even pursued a scorched earth policy, destroying villages and laying waste vast stretches of southern and central Tanzania. Finally, they defeated the powerful Ngoni warriors in 1907. The war devastated several African villages and brought famine to the Africans. It also resulted in the destruction of trade and wealth in the country. In any case, the Maji-Maji revolt demonstrated the possibility of broader African anti-colonial nationalism. The sacrifice of the thousands of Tanzanians who died in the Maji-Maji revolt was important in inspiring the later generation of nationalists who brought their country to independence in the early 1960s. Lesson 3 2.3 Colonial Administration and the Colonial State's Competence.